Travelling the high road, they heard the bells of a temple to Mother Melitele, situated at some distance. Meve turned towards Reynard.
What have we today? A sacred feast?
Not that I recall, Your Grace.
The Queen's brow darkened, her hands clenched into fists on her reins.
Then they sound the alarm. Follow me!
Stained glass shards glinted in the grass. Bits of down, ripped from quilts, wafted through the air. The priestesses, gathered in the yard, were seeing to wounded pilgrims, setting toppled, oft beheaded or armless statues back on their feet.
What happened here?
The strays of Spala fell upon us.
Sighed the prioress.
Stole the offerings, the monstrances, holy books. My lady, I implore you, come to our aid, recover what's rightly ours.
Ever clever, Meve's scouts soon discovered the bandits' tracks. They led to some thick hazel groves east of the temple. The perfect place to hide, or to lie in ambush. The bandits had pitched camp in a nearby wood. Spirits buoyed by the wine they'd stolen from the cloister cellar, the brigands had not posted sentries.
Another round! To the sisters!
Meve's soldiers were eager, insistent. The desecrators would be punished. Yet only the Queen could order the assault.
High time we put these strays on a leash.
Spat the Queen, spurring her horse.
To arms! Follow me!
Tankards clattered to the ground as the strays reached for their weapons. The brigands would not even fathom giving up without a fight.
Surround them!
The Queen's company defeated the bandits and recovered the loot. Silver chalices, reliquaries lined with mother-of-pearl, gold-embroidered robes.
The priestesses would be grateful to have their treasures returned, Your Grace. They would pray ardently for your victory.
Reynard opined.
Yet, you could also keep the silver, expend it on the war effort. And who's to say which, prayer or coin, would be more useful?
Hard times the realm now endures.
The Queen said, after a pause.
Yet this can't justify a lapse in principles. No. We must defend them all the more.
Meve ordered everything returned to the priestesses. All of it, down to the last gulden. Moved by the Queen's gesture, some of the novitiates joined Meve's ranks, aiming to bring succor to any Lyrian wounded in battle. Queen and company rode off with no gold to show for their toil, but most certainly richer in spirit. Meve's ear suddenly caught brisk music and voices raised in song. She had no doubt. A wedding ceremony had just begun in a hamlet just off the high road. When the bride's father spotted the royal retinue, he rushed up to beg the Queen to bless the newlyweds. Meve obliged cordially. Encouraged, the father boldly invited Meve and her court to join in the festivities.
You do us a right honour, my lady. And your men would bolster their strength afore to march ahead. We beg ye, eat, drink and rejoice with us.
I haven't slippers to dance in, but I trust I'll manage somehow. Lead on, good man.
The nuptials took place in the shade of a vast oak tree. Then the newlyweds and their guests walked in procession to a barn adorned with flowers. An uproarious celebration ensued. As she watched her soldiers dance shoulder to shoulder with peasants, Meve felt a surge of pride at being their queen. The heart of Lyria. It beat most powerfully here, not in the gilded halls of palaces. Suddenly a cry went up as strange armed men rushed into the yard.
There's the lass! Grab her!
Before anyone could stop them, the bandits took the bride and fled into the woods. The drums and fiddles, suddenly silenced, were now replaced by weeping, moaning, angry calls for pursuit. Deep grief upon his face, the host turned to Meve with a plea.
Milady, we beg of you, help us!
We'll not leave you wanting, good man.
shouted the queen, slipping her feet into her stirrups.
Follow me! Yeah!
The earth trembled beneath the weight of horse and hoof. Tankards laid out for a midnight toast to the bride and groom clinked prematurely in the quake, and the Lyrians charged forth into the dark wood. Though the Lyrian cavalrymen had imbibed spirits throughout the night, they not only managed to stay upright in their saddles, but even gained on the bandits and cut off any chance of escape. Neve's troops defeated the bandits and rescued the bride, only to be surprised. For the maiden fair dropped to her knees and burst into tears of sorrow, not joy.
Weep not, child.
The queen said, placing her arm upon her shoulder.
It's over. You're free.
Nay, not so, your majesty. My lady, I've no love for Jan. No wish to wed him. It's my father. My family forced me. My heart's fimbers. He arranged the masquerade. I beg ye, if you've 1 ounce of kindness, if you've a heart, let us leave this place together and free.
This scheme you've pursued, I can't condone. Folk have been wounded. Some might have died,
Said the queen.
Yet, equally, I cannot let others force you to marry.
So, may we go, your grace?
You may. Fast as your legs will carry you, afore I've a change of heart.
Though none dared utter a word of chagrin, Meve sensed her subjects' bitter gazes upon her. At the first light of the morn she left, without so much as a nod goodbye. As the Clayton estate appeared from behind a tree line, the queen and all in her retinue knew at once they had arrived too late. A veritable swarm of bandits milled about the yard.
Who have we here? I'll take a gander, lads. The Queen herself has deigned to come and see us.
See you, then kill you.
The strays of Sparla? 'Tis you who lead them. 'Tis you they call the Duke of Dogs.
Aye, 'tis I they dub so. And in other pleasant ways. Prince of Pariahs, Thane of Thieves, Baron of Brigands, and Marquess of Mendacity.
Colourful titles all, yet you omit one. Common cutthroat!
I beg your pardon and cry foul. I am anything but common.
You needn't get excited, Caldwell. Where is Lord Clayton?
Sadly, my lord's no longer with us. Turned us away, you see. Denied us hospitality. A sacred right, after all. Angered the gods mightily, I expect, as he promptly met a tragic end. Fell in the well and broke his neck.
I've heard enough. To arms! Attack!
Oh, lads! What say we throw this queen a ball?
Victory is ours.
Bravo, your grace. Well played.
I can't say the same for you, I fear. You'd have done better to die in battle. Bound for Lyria now, where the hangman will have his way with you.
Splendid! I've ever wished to see the capital.
Quite certain of yourself, you seem.
Many afore you have braided nooses for me, your grace. Yet as you see, my neck's straight as a pike.
My threats are never hollow. And if it's an escape you weigh, well, we've yet to see any man abscond from the dungeons of Lyria Castle.
I'd hope so. For to be known as second just wouldn't be worth the trouble.
Ugh. Take him away.
As soldiers placed the Duke of Dogs in shackles, there was a sudden commotion. A messenger rushed in, sweaty, gasping for air, smelling of smoke and blood. His gaze spoke terror.
Your Majesty, Graces, Nilfgaard's crossed the Yaruga. Black-clad hordes. Villages burn. Folk lie murdered.
Nilfgaard! Gods help us!
They march for Dravograd. Prince Willem, he can't hope to arrive in time with aid. Help us. You must.
Dravograd. Blast it all. Listen close, soldier. You're to take a fresh mount, ride hard back to your commander and say the Queen comes to repel the foe.
Your Grace, begging your pardon, our force. We aren't many. Let's send for reinforcements first. Elsewise...
Reynard, I've seen Nilfgaard's trebuchets at work. Should we delay until we're stronger, they'll leave no stone standing in Dravograd. We must ride for the town at once.
As her men prepared to march, Meve climbed the manor's tower. Smoke rose in columns in the distance. As more black pillars appeared one after the other, she knew they meant another home, another barn, another mill was in flames. Tears welled in her eyes, yet they were tears of anger.
Bastards. If it's war they seek, it's war I shall bring them. Reynard, prepare to ride!
First bandits, now this. Misfortune does indeed come knocking twice.
In hobnail boots, tramping upon my land. Nilfgaard shall regret this. I swear on all that is sacred and blessed.
Suddenly, Meve's force found itself marching straight towards a Nilfgaardian company. To the Queen's surprise, the invaders did not immediately assume battle formation. They proceeded instead in her very direction without a sign of panic. The man leading the Nilfgaardians was clad in rich robes. He exuded pride and the scent of musk.
I am Trahearn Vardifir, Your Majesty. I was asked to present your esteemed grace the ultimatum of the forces of the Empire of Nilfgaard.
The envoy cracked the seal on a scroll, unfurled it, took a deep breath, and began to read.
I, General Ardal Ebdahi, demand the immediate and unconditional surrender of Lyria and Rivia. Elsewise, I will burn down every city, town, village, and temple, place all your subjects in chains, and your armed men, defeated and captured, I will hang along the roadsides as a warning to all others in the barbarous north.
As the final threat echoed in Meve's ears, the envoy put away the scroll and stood waiting for her answer, a mocking smile on his face. He allowed himself this insolence, believing the immunity accorded diplomats would shield him from any form of royal ire.
His Excellency speaks true. We Nordlings are barbarians, without exception,
answered the Queen. Though her voice was calm, most of those listening shuddered inside.
We neither hold nor honor the standards of the civilized world. Among them, the immunity of envoys. At the...
This is savagery! Barbarous! To attack an emissary!
The envoy's escort crumbled beneath the onslaught of Meve's Lyrians, who grabbed the emissary and brought him before their queen. Robes torn and head blooded, he no longer exuded imperial pride.
Your Grace, what would you have us do with this pompous arse?
I want him shackled in iron collar and manacles. To the capital we shall take him, and in the castle dungeon he shall taste of northern hospitality.
The envoy's jaw opened, but no sound, no protest came forth. The Queen's irate stare drilling into him, he simply swallowed audibly. Trahearn var Fetifir, usually silver-tongued, remained utterly silent the rest of the way to the capital. Then one day, gazing towards the horizon, the Queen spotted Lyrian banners whipping about in the wind.
At long last,
she said with a smile. Meve resolved to speak with the commander, one Baronet Eldar. It was the first time they met, and the youth very much impressed her. Yet instead of questioning Eldar about the foe's troop movements, Reynard took the conversation down a seemingly irrelevant path.
And how's your father, if I may ask? In good health, I hope?
Yes, though he still nurses that bump he suffered while hunting last winter. Yet he's not one to complain. I'll tell him you asked.
Irritated at the trivial nature of the conversation, Meve gave her horse a dose of her reins and cantered off. Once Eldar and his men were safely behind them, she took Reynard aside.
Reynard, this is no time for gossip and pleasantries. We are at war.
Yes, Your Majesty. And in such times, little should be taken at face value. Even a man's name.
Get to the point, Reynard.
Eldar's father died a month past. His son, I venture, should have known as much.
But that means... Oh, the bastard. Impeccable accent, though.
I fear he's rather representative of what we face. Nilfgaardian spies are ever well prepared.
Tell me, how did you know?
He wears no mourning on his armor. Were it not for that, I dare say I might never have guessed. What are your orders, your grace? To observe these Nilfgaardian mummers?
Assemble a force. Tell them to follow our new allies. Observe them closely.
As you wish, your grace.
Reynard's scouts did as ordered, watching the false Lyrians while themselves remaining unseen. Soon after, a scout returned with news that the false Lyrians seemed headed for Rastburg, a castle several leagues to the north. The false Lyrians approached Rastburg Castle. They sought to convince the defenders to open the gate. As their commanders negotiated with the commander on the ramparts, the remaining infiltrators crouched hidden behind a wall, awaiting the signal to rush forth.
Time for Baronet Elder to join his falsely claimed father,
muttered the Queen.
Follow me!
They found us! Sega not to win! Very gloire!
The Nilfgaardians found themselves in a clinch. As boiling oil and tar rained down on them from the walls, they attempted to retreat. Yet Meave's halberdiers cut off their path, and at the fight's end, Meave was victorious. The garrison commander now knelt by the body of the purported Baronet Eldar, in truth a Nilfgaardian spy. He shook his head in disbelief.
He addressed me by name. Knew our watchwords. Why, if you hadn't come along, your grace, I fear even to think on it.
Let this be a lesson, then. Trust no one, not a living soul.
Though victory was theirs, the Lyrians left Rastburg in mightily low spirits. They now knew well that Nilfgaard's spies were no less a threat than its heavy cavalry, than its war machines that spit fire.
What the devil is going on? Where are our reinforcements? Why does Willem not ride out to face the foe, relieve besieged towns?
I can't say, your grace. We haven't had a single scroll from the prince.
Gods be damned. I've the impression I'm alone in fighting the Blackclads.
Milady, if I may, the enemy yet lurks. You must bolster your force. You must incorporate a detachment from my unit. Oh, the times, the world, the day. Can't even tell friend from foe. Treachery round every corner.
Meave's retinue was riding through a narrow gully when a shrill cry cut the air.
En van den order!
The gully came alive, and soldiers in black armor rushed forth. A cry in turn went up and down Meave's ranks. Ambush!
Very gloire!
I want them taken alive! I need answers!
After the skirmish, the Queen's troops brought several Nilfgaardian prisoners before her. Reynard, who had the best command of their mongrel tongue, interrogated. His first question? How many battalions were marching on Dravograd?
Kes, Zagdran, ep Dravograd, ven.
The prisoners whispered feverishly, then one spoke on their behalf. They would answer no questions until the Queen pledged to free them in return. The Lyrian soldiers saw this as arrogance, and said as much.
Conditions they're giving us now? Sons of whores! I say, we find a tree with a strong bough, several...
Ignoring the objections of her retinue, Meave pledged what the soldiers wished. They, in turn, admitted their commander had pushed forward ahead of the army's core force. He now awaited reinforcements that would let him take Dravograd. The prisoners claimed these units would march through the village of Turnifen.
To lay there in ambush. Hold them. They could not join forces.
Reynard whispered, leaning in towards the Queen.
We would gain the advantage for the decisive battle.
Meave had obtained invaluable information, while the prisoners would gain their freedom. Or so it seemed at the time.
I would ask you to pledge to not reveal our position to your commanders,
said the Queen.
Yet so eager were you to share your army's secrets with me that your word is of no value. Leave my sight.
Once the Queen's words had been translated, the prisoners breathed a sigh of relief. Freed, they ran as fast as they could towards a wood, glancing back to make certain there was no pursuit. But Meve kept her promise. Meve and company passed by a village evidently pillaged by the Nilfgaardians. From afar they had heard cries, but as they drew near they recognized them not as cries of grief, but as cursing, cries of anger.
Give him a proper walloping, the scoundrel!
Mercy, good folk! I've done nothing wrong!
The villagers stood gathered near the hamlet's center, surrounding an elf, bloodied and cowering. Stones in hand, the peasants threatened and cursed him. The Queen demanded an explanation. A ruddy-faced blacksmith stepped forth and spit.
A Nilfgaardian spy the horse and is, your majesty. He's the one brought him here to raise the village. He's got to hang.
The other villagers agreed with the smith. The elf fell at the Queen's feet and grovelled.
Have mercy, Renner. Save your loyal subject. They lie. They fault me only as I am an elf.
Whence this certainty of his guilt? Have you any proof?
Asked Meve.
Did anyone see him communing with the foe? Did he hold any coin with a foreign stamp?
The villagers eyed Meve angrily, their hands clenched into fists. Yet none dared utter a word in protest.
Know this. The Blackclads need no reason to pillage our homes. Now stand aside and let this wretch go.
The elf tearfully thanked the Queen, then begged her not to leave him behind. Instead, he pleaded vehemently to join her retinue.
Your most noble grace, please, I beg you. As soon as you're gone, the Dwan will hang me from the nearest tree.
So be it,
said the Queen after a moment's consideration.
Find the quartermaster. He's to put you to work. And now we march.
The villagers gazed with hatred as the company left the hamlet. When its thatched roof huts disappeared beyond the next bend, Meve breathed a sigh of relief. Meve's force made its way to the place the prisoners had indicated, a quaint village named Turnifen. And indeed, soon a cloud of dust appeared on the horizon. A large enemy force approached.
We await your order, your grace.
Reynard peered at Meve expectantly. Meve could not let this opportunity pass. The Nilfgaardians marched on, oblivious to the threat. As soon as they found themselves within range, she signaled her arbalists to loose their bolts, then led her cavalry in a charge.
At them! Follow me! Gee up! At them! Valyria!
Thus Meve led her force to victory. Historians would later term this encounter the Battle of Turnifen. Those Nilfgaardians who survived it spoke of a terror on the field. A woman warrior in gilded armor spattered with blood, her blows so powerful as to pierce the heaviest breastplate, the thickest buckler. The Lyrians now set off toward Dravograd, buoyed by the vision of their foe expecting reinforcements, friendly banners on the horizon, none of which would ever arrive. A dark shadow suddenly cut across the sky. The Queen instinctively brought her shield up, convinced a Nilfgaardian catapult had lobbed a boulder their way. But when that boulder landed in the road ahead, it smashed into splinters and proved an empty barrel.
This is what they cast at us. Barrels. Is this some jest?
Well, they're not known for their sense of humour, the Nilfgaardians,
answered Reynard. Meve stood in her stirrups, squinted, peered into the distance, and let out a hearty chortle. For the barrel had been loosed by neither catapult nor trebuchet, but by a rock troll consumed by fury. At what? A company of Nilfgaardian soldiers had pitched camp by the cave the troll called home.
Troll or non-troll?
Said the Queen, drawing her sword.
None deserve to die at Nilfgaard's hands. Follow me!
Larum! Assayer to the Navian!
For Shupe!
Ah! It's safe!
Your Grace, the troll, it's a bit unpredictable.
The Lyrians smashed the Nilfgaardian force. The troll, having grown suddenly pensive, gazed and picked at the invaders' corpses.
Clad in blacks, humans. No good humans.
Just so, Sir Troll. The Nilfgaardians are a devious lot. Our land they've attacked most treacherously.
Clad in blacks, humans hard. Why no good humans? Big lot armor. Chew got to. Try morsel of human, you wish?
Do you know to whom you speak? This is Her Majesty, your queen.
Greeting your queen. Shupe is me.
There, Reynard. I believe I can manage this. Say, Shupe, you've quite the stockpile of kegs. Do you engage in custom, perhaps?
No. Kegs good for smash when Shupe angry gets. But costume engaging. That what mean?
It means... well, to trade one thing for another. At a profit.
One thing for other. For glitter rocks, even.
Yes, if you play your cards right, you might just convince someone to pay you in rocks.
Cards, kegs, trade, glitter rocks. Oh, Shupe plan got. Shupe gotta go. Afore human go, Shupe human give. Your queen aid give. Your queen aid get.
The troll turned on his heel and ran out of his cave, his destination known only to himself. As she moved to leave, a hunch told Meve the world would yet hear of this troll named Shupe.
Look at the palisades. The machines of war. Too many to count.
I cannot fathom it. Has Nilfgaard sent all its forces into Lyria?
No, your grace. But a single army.
Gods protect us.
The queen uttered a juicy curse. Dravagrad stood before them, Nilfgaardians all round it, 3, perhaps 4 battalions of armored infantry, arbalists and cavalry behind them. Trebuchet volleys had punched holes in the walls, while battering rams had twisted the main gate open. But elsewise, the city was mere moments from falling to the foe.
Doomed! We stand not a chance. Nilfgaard outnumbers us twofold. More!
Then our men must put double the spirit into the fight. Double the heart. Lyria!
Emboldened by their valiant queen and commander, the Lyrians charged headlong at Nilfgaard's lines into a hail of bolts and arrows.
Attack! Rid this city of all black-clad filth!
The castle is secure, your grace.
The Nilfgaardians fled in panic, abandoning war machines, shields and arms, even their wounded. The defenders rejoiced. They laughed boisterously, and cries of delight and chanting could be heard all around. "Warrior Queen," they shouted. "Meve! Meve! Meve!"
Hear that, your grace.
I do. No sound rings more lovely to a ruler's ear. Yet rest on our laurels we cannot. Caldwell, the situation in the town, what can you tell me?
Wall breached. Thrice. 400 wounded, near 1,000 without roofs over their heads. All nothing compared to the grain stores. Went up in smoke during the siege. And it's some time yet afore the harvest. Your Grace. The war's just begun, I know. All coins should bolster the army, yet if we leave the folk of Dravagrad no gold, there will be hunger. With all the attendant discord.
The drought of 1258 I remember all too well. I saw famine, What it drives folk to do, the extremes. A strong army I need desperately, yet not at all costs. The townsfolk need gold to survive till the harvest. Count how much, then give it to the garrison commander.
As you command, Your Grace?
The battle we've won, there's just the war that remains. And Nilfgaard will strike again, doubt it not. We must move on. Caldwell, ride ahead to Lyria. My son must call a gathering of the Council of Peers. Tell him so. We'll have much to discuss. Reynard and I will follow with the troops. We shall seek out any Nilfgaardian stragglers, prevent them from rejoining the main force.
Maeve's two adjutants bowed and left the Queen to think. She was hungry, sore from the fight, spent. Yet sensing her soldiers' eyes upon her, she set off for the stable, her gait brisk, her head held high.
Golden armor, golden hair, reaps black lads like grain. Maeve, Maeve, Maeve!